Hey, Yinz guys and gals, gather round for a journey like no other. It's time to hop on board the Where Yinz Goin podcast, proudly brought to you by Dreams by Design Travel. From the rivers that meet at the point to form downtown Pittsburgh to the furthest corners of the globe, that'll be your compass, your confidant, your companion in that as we explore the wonders of travel. Kick back, relax on your couch, and let the wanderlust wash over Yinz as we discover new horizons and reminisce about old favorites. With Dreams by Design Travel by our side, the sky's the limit. Join Matt on the Where Yinz Goin podcast because when it comes to travel, the journey's just getting started. And now, without further ado, let's give a shout for your guide through the highways and byways of travel, the man with a map, the voice of the steel city, Matt Trader.
So how Yin's doing? Welcome to the Where Yin's Going podcast, brought to you by Dreams by Design Travel. I'm Matt. I'll be your host. Joining me today is Katie. Now, this is not Katie that you heard in a previous episode about Run Disney. This is a different Katie. This one just got back from an amazing Disney cruise to Alaska. So welcome to the podcast, Katie.
Thanks, Matt. I am so excited to be here and to talk about my amazing trip and cruise to Alaska. It was fantastic.
And just from her voice right there, you can hear how excited she was about it. We were talking before we started recording, and she's gushing over this already. She sent me a message the other day when she was on her way home saying, "Oh my gosh, this was the best thing. I want to talk about it so quickly." And so now we finally get to do it. Before we get to that, though, I like to start every podcast with this question. What is your favorite place that you have visited, or is there a place you would like to visit the most?
So I love Disney. I like to consider myself a extreme Disney nerd. And all of the destinations that Disney includes, they really are like some of the places that my family and I have built grand memories. However, I like to kind of experience the culture and the sights and the sounds of a destination that isn't necessarily tied to an attraction or a theme. And my family and I, we love like a national parks getaway, and we've done a lot of like museum trips and things like that. So this Alaskan cruise kind of combined two of my favorite things. We got to see the beauty of nature. And when I say beauty, I mean like absolutely a gasp when you look out the window of your cruise cabin or when you're on the port or on the deck. And then just the magic of Disney too. So this one right now probably tops like someone comes in at like my top 3 places that I've ever been.
That's amazing. My dad, well, first I have a couple who's going to, well, by the time this airs, they would have just returned from a trip to Disney, or excuse me, a trip to Alaska that they're doing a cruise as well. They're doing like 2 weeks in Alaska of seeing Denali and a couple other things, and then getting a cruise coming down the coast from Seward down to Vancouver. And my dad last year did a 2-week fishing trip to Alaska. And he'll be on when we talk about Yosemite National Park on July 5th is whenever that podcast will air. But he said that the Alaska trip was his favorite one of all time. And my dad traveled for business, for a living, for like 40 years almost. So he's been there, done that.
So my parents did an Alaskan cruise last summer in August. So they were in Alaska when the salmon were running and the bears were everywhere. And they did Denali and they did Mount McKinley as well. And they came back, and my dad was like, this was one of those trips that I knew I was going to love, but I didn't know how much I was going to love it. And he's kind of he is so fantastic, but he's an older gentleman that, is kind of stuck in some of his ways and things like that. And he was so excited about how kind the people of Alaska were to him and how just beautiful everything was. And my mom loved it as well. One of the things that I noticed on our cruise is that it really is a generational trip that we had really young kids all the way up to grandmas and grandpas and everywhere in between. We had a lot of college seniors that had graduated, and this was their big like trip with their families to celebrate their accomplishments of making it through 4 long years of college. It really was, and everybody on the ship was happy and so excited to see what Alaska could show them. And then also like the magic of Disney as well. Disney did a really good job of intertwining those things that you expect from Disney with but also taking a step back and making like the natural beauty of Alaska be front and center at the times that it was appropriate for it as well.
That's a real nice balance.
Yeah.
Having your Disney stuff, but still having your trip to Alaska be what it's for, which is a trip to Alaska.
Right.
And I'm not a huge cruising fan. I mean, I've never been on one, so I don't know. Maybe I will be whenever I do one. But doing a cruise to Alaska is something that I want to do. That I definitely want to see Alaska. I've done the training on it, and I've seen my dad's pictures and talked to him and helping to plan the other couple's trip, and it just looks so beautiful and awesome. But doing a cruise to be able to see a lot more of it without having to pack and unpack 30 times, I'm excited about it. I'm going to wait a little bit longer till my little girl, who's 4.5, gets older. So one, I don't have to worry about her like running off the side of the ship. Or two, I also want her to be able to appreciate a little bit more whenever she gets a bit older.
Well, no matter when she's ready, you guys will absolutely adore it because it was beautiful. In fact, there was a cute little girl on board. Her name was Ivy, and she was 5. And her mom and dad had taken her on this great trip. And we became like the best of friends because we stood in line to wait to meet Minnie Mouse together. And everywhere I would see her, she would come up to me for the rest of the week and tell me something that she had done. And it was a good mix of like, she had gone to a cooking class and learned how to make lobster ravioli. And then she had gone to the kids club and like hung out with, she hung out with Belle. Belle was there in the kids club with her. And then she had a Shirley Temple at dinner time. So I got a whole like idea of this cute little 5-year-old and then she saw a bear in Ketchikan. So there were so many things that she was excited to share about too, that it's a great way for your kids to see the magic of both Disney, but also appreciate what the world has for us too. Because there's a lot of really beautiful places in the world that we can explore. And I think that that's really what our job is about, right, Matt? We like make sure that our clients get to experience something amazing and breathtaking without the stress of having to make all of those plans or put all the pieces together. We're there to make sure that the picture is beautiful once they go and travel and make things easier for them.
And that's why Katie should be a poet too, because the way she just said that could not be put any better. And by the way, Katie's also like the guru in our company on a program called Canva, which is basically a Photoshop thing to help create, put pictures together. And we use a lot for our social media posts. So we'll give her information later. You can look up her posts that they're just like amazing, tapestries of, just amazing tapestries. She does amazing posts with her creativity. And you can see right there where she gets it, where part of that comes from with her poetic nature. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm blushing. So thank you for the compliment.
But yeah, back to that point of I've traveled. And so my wife is from Indonesia. And so we've traveled to Asia. And in college, I got to go to Europe with my sister and her now husband. And my dad traveled for business, whenever we were younger. So we got to travel throughout the US mainly on vacations and things. So I've got to go to a lot of different places and experience all of that. And the one thing that I've learned is that when you travel to a new place and whenever you experience a different culture, you learn then to appreciate it. Now, you might not necessarily like everything about that culture, but you learn to understand it better. And it's not, oh, these weird people, why are they doing that? It's, oh, I see why they do that. Okay. So it's understanding, which can lead to a better world if everyone can understand what's happening. This stuff that this group does might not be exactly for you, but you can appreciate it more, which is all we can really ask for. And that's what travel does, is it can let you understand and experience those things which can open your eyes to more tolerance in the world. And like Katie said, with us, we help to plan that whenever you go and step outside of your comfort zone, it's not truly going outside of your comfort zone and being an uncomfortable feeling with the stress and the anxiety and everything of having to worry about the travel plans and where you're staying and catching your flight and all that stuff and planning it all, is that we can help you do that.
I like to think that like our job is kind of like your favorite blanket. Like if you bring your favorite blanket with you, no matter where you go, you have that comfort of knowing that you're kind of cozy and comfortable in your spot. And that's kind of what we are is we're like making sure that you are experiencing something new and adventuresome or something that you've always wanted to check off your list, but we're also making sure that you're comfortable and that you're ready to go and that you feel like so that you're not so worried about the things that all of the details, right? The details are the things on trips that sometimes, like if you're the one planning everything and handling it all, like the details, by the time you get on the trip, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. How am I going to enjoy this? And that's our job. Our job is to make sure that we plan all of your details for you, take care of all of the mundane things that you don't want to do. And then you get to go and you get to just sit back, enjoy, and have the comfort of knowing that there's somebody there that's going to have your back the entire time. So, and that's why I love my job too. I love the fact that I get to play a small part in the memories of a family. I just know for sure that when you travel, those are the things that when you're sitting around Sunday dinner and you're all getting together, those are the things that you're talking about 10 years, 15 years later. Those are the things that your kids are going to talk to their kids about the fact that mom and dad took me on this trip and we did this. And they're just, you travel because a trip helps to write the story of your family in a chapter that you would never even be able to experience at home.
Very well said. And being the people we're the ones who are waiting on hold to help plan all of this so you don't have to. So
Right, right. There's a lot less cuss words if you're not the one waiting on hold. So
happy memories to go with them.
that's right.
So before we get into Katie's trip, a little bit about Disney Cruise Line. It started in 1998 with the Disney Magic, and then soon after that, the Disney Wonder came the next year in 1999. It wasn't until 2011 and 2012 that they added the Disney Dream, the Disney Fantasy. Recently, in 2022, the Disney Wish came along. This December, the Disney Treasure will have its maiden voyage. In 2025 will be the Disney Adventure, and then 2026 will be the Disney Destiny. So a lot of ships are coming along very quickly. So Disney Cruise Line is expanding and growing. Just to give you an idea of where they travel, of course, they go to Alaska because that's what we're going to talk about today. They're all throughout the Caribbean, with the Bahamas, the Bermuda, out a little bit more in the Atlantic. They go to different destinations in Canada, which Katie also went on with her Alaska cruise. Europe, Hawaii, Mexico, New Zealand, and Australia. Someplace on the Pacific coast, through the Panama Canal, the South Pacific, and whenever they reposition these ships, there are transatlantic cruises you can go on too. So a lot of different options to fit whatever your preferred destination is. And for the Caribbean cruises, or Caribbean, I've heard it both ways, they also have two private islands. One they have now, Castaway Cay, that many of the ships stop at, and by the time this airs, or this podcast airs, it will have already opened. Look out, it's Cay. So I've heard people pronounce it Lookout K. I've also heard Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. It's on Katie, do you know how to say that? It's Othera.
I think
Is it?
that's right. I'm not sure what it is. I know it's amazing and beautiful, and I'm sure that we will be much more aware of exactly how to pronounce that one once it's all on board. So
Yeah, it's an island of the Bahamas. Eleuthera. Eleuthera. Yeah. This is why I don't teach English right now. So, but um, we're going to focus this episode on Katie's trip, where she took the Disney Wonder, and where was it, from Vancouver up to Alaska and then back down to Vancouver? Is that how the itinerary they went?
yeah, so our cruise was the first sailing to Alaska of the season with the Disney Wonder. Previously, they had sailed out of San Diego up to Vancouver, did one of those repositioning cruises. There were several guests on our ship that's how they actually made their trip happen is they did the repositioning cruise and then back to back. So they did San Diego to Vancouver. I believe that was a 4-night cruise, but all at sea. And then they just met back up with the ship in Vancouver. We actually took the Amtrak train. So my family, we're from Utah. We flew to Seattle and then boarded the Seattle Amtrak train, and we traveled by train up to Vancouver the day before we were set to sail. So it's a 4.5 hour train ride up to Vancouver. It's actually stunning. It's so cool. So the train, it's very scenic. It butts up against the mountains on one side. So mountains full of evergreens and Douglas fir trees. And then to the other side of the train, it's the ocean. And it is as close as it can possibly be. Like it's right there the most of the time. Really nice and pleasant journey up to Vancouver. And then we boarded this ship on Monday. And this was our 4th Disney cruise my family has taken. The 3rd time that we've traveled on the Wonder. Wonder is one of Disney's older ships. Her sister ship is the Magic. And although you could maybe consider kind of the grandma of the Disney Cruise Line, she is beautiful. She is smaller than the Disney Dream, smaller than the Fantasy, and smaller than the Wish. And I assume is probably they're building the other ships are going to be bigger as well. The Treasure, and Adventure, and Destiny as well. But she has a kind of a nice homey feel to her. She's fresh. She's new. She feels new. Everything sparkles like you expect. There's a lot of pixie dust magic on her, but she's not one of the bigger ships with Disney. But she keeps calling my family to her. We just love her. She's so cute and just nice and cozy. We like her. Our first day was a day at sea. So you board the ship, you get a port time. You board the ship as early as 11, and typically 4:30 is when the ship will set sail. Plenty of time to go ahead and get on board, plenty of time to go check out restaurants, kind of check out the decks. If you have kids with you, the first day, make sure that in your little carry-on bag that you're not checking with the porters, that you pack their swimsuits, because the water slides and the pools and things like that are completely empty usually. So you can get on those water slides over and over and over again. And on an Alaskan cruise, Vancouver might be the warmest place that you're at. So it might be the only chance you get to actually get on the water slide and in the pools without having goosebumps that there are the size of the mountains that you're about ready to see. So next day, so you start off with your day starts off with checking out the ship, exploring the restaurants. Tiana's is one of the restaurants on board the Disney Wonder. It was open for lunch, so we went ahead and ate there, just to kind of have a nice sit down, relaxing lunch. Your cabin opens up about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Your luggage will, for us, it actually, we waited maybe 20 minutes for our luggage to meet us at our door. And it was a massive amount of luggage. When you pack for Alaska, it starts to feel like you might be going on an epic adventure that is longer than a couple of days long. But your luggage is there, and then you're free to go about. There's activities that start pretty early. Dinner is wonderful. With the Disney cruise, the one thing that I love about a Disney cruise is your wait staff. So your waiter and the assistant waiter, they follow you from restaurant to restaurant. So they get to know you really well. On our 7-night cruise, our wait staff really felt like family. We got to the point where they knew a lot about us. They knew our likes and our preferences. Actually, there was one night where I was like, I would like to order this. And our waiter, he was like, oh, Miss Catherine, no, you will not enjoy that as much as you will enjoy this and this. And it was because he had gotten to know us. So and then they do a deck party where they kind of welcome everybody in and the party gets started. And then there's just tons and tons of like magic and activities and things like that. Our second day at sea, it was full of a ton of really fun things. I did a cooking class with one of the pastry chefs. He became my best friend on the ship. He might not have known that, but I really enjoyed all of the treats that he had. And there's drawing classes. There is, so my husband is a bingo fan. And on our last Disney cruise, he won $700. So he thought that he would try it again. And he won another like $250 this time, which I promptly went in and spent on mini ears and souvenirs in one of the gift shops. But I'm glad that his efforts of like calling bingo out provided me with funds for souvenirs.
Now, you said about packing. When you go to Alaska, it will be colder than your normal southern cruise that you're going to take down to the Caribbean or going to tropical islands. So in the summer, Alaska can get decently warm, but decently warm is maybe into the 60s or 70s as highs. So definitely make sure that you bring weather appropriate clothing, check the forecast before you go, and you will need a little bit warmer stuff. So your baggage might be a little bit more expanded with all the coats and extra layers you have with you.
So the best tip is go ahead and invest in some of those packing bags that you can take the air out of. So we were able to pack quite a few of our like puffer coats and things like that. And it feels a little bit ridiculous. So I'm coming from a cold weather climate. And so I was a little bit like, going on a cruise and I don't need necessarily my sunscreen and like short sleeves and shorts. But the trade-offs are that you get to see so many great things and you really get to really experience something that you would never experience like on a Caribbean cruise or a Mexican Riviera cruise or something like that. Layers. So you will hear, if you are looking at an Alaskan cruise and you even at all Google anything about an Alaskan cruise, layers is the thing that they say. And that is really true. We lucked out. We got beautiful weather. In fact, even the crew and the captain of the ship and everything kept going, we can't believe the weather was so good. And it was. We didn't get one drop of rain. It was in the 40s, low 50s, beautiful weather. But I will say this, if you're traveling to Alaska, you need to be prepared. Places like Ketchikan are actually, they're like a rainforest climate without the heat. So tons of rain, a lot of colder weather. So when you're in the heat of summer and you're sweating all of the time, an Alaskan cruise is the perfect getaway because you cool off really quick. But you need to make sure you bring layers, jeans, joggers, sweatshirts, t-shirts that you can layer under, hoodies, sweaters, things like that. And then for us, it was key to have like a nice, like thinner layer puffer coat, and then a really good rain jacket. You're looking for something that not only keeps you dry, but cuts the wind down a bit. And now is the time to totally embrace your beanie hat wearing. Yeah, because all your pictures will probably more than likely have. I had a blue beanie hat that I felt like I looked like a blueberry in, but I was so thankful for it. So,
And there's another thing, you don't need to worry about fixing your hair every day. So
right. That's right. It's a lot of like throw on a beanie and some gloves and go out and enjoy it. But it was cool. It was no pun intended, but it was literally cool and it was cool. So
you mentioned about your best friend, the pastry chef. Was
yeah.
there any specific thing that he made that you learned to make that was good?
So he taught us how to make apple strudel. And he took this apple strudel dough, and it was so cool. He took and rolled it out on a tablecloth. The table was covered in like a clean, nice, pristine tablecloth. And then he showed how to roll it by taking the tablecloth and like just flipping it over. And he got these perfect rolls, which I am sure if I tried at home would not be at all great. But he did that. We had baked Alaska, which was phenomenal. When you go to eat at the restaurants every night, there's probably 4 to 5 different dessert choices that you can choose from, anywhere from like a different kind of ice cream sundae to pies and cakes and different kind of desserts. My 14-year-old daughter one night ordered all 4 desserts. So we have a picture of her by all 4 of the desserts that she sampled and enjoyed. And that's the great thing is you can do that. They are good. If you see 2 entrees on the menu that you're like, oh, I'd like to try that, but I'm really not sure if I'm going to love it, but I know that this is a safe option for me. You have the opportunity and there's no guilt in it. You don't have to feel like what. Sometimes when I go to a restaurant, I'm like, I'd really like to try that, but if I don't like it, then I'm out that money and I didn't like it and I'm still hungry and I'm going to have to like swing by McDonald's on the way home. And that's not the way with the cruise. So you get to try everything and find your favorites, which was really great for us. So
This goes back to your comment before of being adventurous and get to explore, and that's what vacations are about. Travel is about is to try new things. So you can try new things without the guilt here or without the worry.
right. So they serve escargot one night as one of the appetizers. So they serve snails and they come in this little dish and they have garlic and butter and you can try them and you can either fall in love with them or you can be like, snails aren't my thing. But you get kind of bragging rights where you're like, yeah, I tried escargot and I survived. I don't know, they weren't selling t-shirts in the gift shop with that on it, but maybe that might be an opportunity later down the line. So
I'm sure you can find one on Etsy.
yeah, yeah.
So it was keep going with
I'm
your
sorry,
stuff so I didn't interrupt too much.
I'm sorry, what?
I didn't want to interrupt too much, so go back to your talking about your trip.
No,
So
no. So one of the things about a Disney cruise that's great and probably a misnomer about it is it's not just for kids. So there was a ton of couples on our ship, a ton of honeymooners, lots of people that were celebrating 10-year, 20-year, 30-year anniversaries. Cute little couples there were a couple that were celebrating their actually 50th anniversaries. And there's something for everybody. So we traveled with some friends of ours from Alabama. They're in their late 20s and they had the best time, and they don't have any children, so they still enjoyed their cruise like immensely. One of the things that's really great is that the kids clubs on Disney are phenomenal. They are full of fun activities, full of things that are age appropriate for each different demographic. My daughter is 14. Her first Disney cruise was when she was 3. And we would, it's funny, like you go on this trip and you're like, I don't know who you are. I haven't seen you all day long. But she's always had like tons of really fun adventures that she's done and things that make her happy. And like now that like she's in her like teenage years, it's so much fun for me because she comes home and she has this little group of friends that they all chat together and plan their next adventure. And it's amazing. They make really good friends on this Disney cruise. And then there's also the chances like adults to go out and do things that they appeal to you and are so much fun that you wouldn't necessarily expect on a Disney cruise. They had Match Your Mate, which is like a wedding, like marriage show with questions and things like that. They had the most amazing pianists that were there that they took requests. So they had little sheets of paper and they on the fly did this dueling piano show that was so amazing. It was so cool. And they were so talented. They were great. And that's in like the adult section of the ship. So there's 3 lounges, bars on the Wonder. There's a Zur that they use during the daytime for things that like are open to families and things like that, but is also but at night turns into an adult only. They had Cadillac Lounge that is one of the most beautiful bars I've ever seen, set up to look like a Cadillacs. You walk in and the top of the marquee is an old white back end of a Cadillac. They have a really cool gas pump right there that continually like changes numbers as you as the day progresses and the night progresses. And then they have the Crown and Fin pub, which is an old school style British pub that you feel like you can go and grab a pint or a Coke with your friends. And it's really a neat place to kind of hang out. They have drawing classes, animation classes that are just for adults, animation classes that are for kids. They have trivia. The trivia gets intense. I've never seen a bunch of people get more hyped up over answering questions about anything from Alaskan trivia to Disney trivia. They give out medals and they are like these, it's a big deal on the ship. Like people walk around strutting around with their medals of what they won. There's comedy shows. The 7-night cruise had a show every night in the big theater. So there's a beautiful Disney theater that is just, it's breathtaking when you walk in. They did 3 kind of production shows. One of them was Frozen. So, and you will hear a lot with a Disney cruise, they'll say, hey, it's a Broadway style show. And you're like, oh, I don't know. It really is like Broadway quality actors and actresses, cast members that just blow you away with how amazing they are. And then it's so cool because you'll see these cast members on stage and then you'll see them on ship doing something completely different that you didn't expect. Like our scenic cruising day, the gentleman that was helping out Mickey, one of Mickey's friends, he was the Count of Weaselton on stage for the Frozen show. So just kind of a cool like thing. And then for us, the spa was a big thing too. We did the Rainforest Pass. So the spa has what you kind of typically think of, like massages. You can get your hair cut, you can get your nails done, you can do a lot of acupuncture, things like that. But they also have a pass that you can buy that allows you to go in, and they have these heated lounge chairs, and they have 4 different showers that are different climates. Like they had a misty fog and warm, and then they have these really nice pleasant saunas. It's adults only. It is a bathing suit required, so there's no like uncomfortableness of the fact that one of the people that you see in the dining room. You've seen a lot more of them in the spa than you wanted to. It was really nice to like kind of just unwind and warm up and chill there for a couple of hours too. So a Disney cruise really does have a lot of different things available from all different age groups. And you can't go wrong with having a ton to do, for whether you're bringing on your whole extended family, or it's just your little family, or just you doing a couples getaway or a friends getaway. Really lots of things to do. So
the drawing classes, have you ever done the ones at either Disneyland or Walt Disney World?
yes, the animators
Yeah.
classes. Yes. Yep. Similar, a lot of similarities to them. This time around, we drew Hey Hey from Moana. I drew Ursula. I drew Captain Minnie Mouse, but she ended up looking like a beaver. I'm not sure how it happened, but embarrassing. So Minnie was not my thing. And then we did Pluto as well. So cool. Like just so much fun to just like sit down and kind of doodle, and there's no pressure. Like some of the entertainment staff are in charge of these drawing classes, and there's some that they're struggling as much as you are to get Minnie to look like a mouse and not a beaver. So there's nothing more humbling than knowing that those animators really do a phenomenal job, and you're not, like, even if you traced it, it's not gonna happen. So
Yeah, in Walt Disney World, it's in Animal Kingdom at Rafiki's Planet Watch. They have a little
yeah.
area there, and in Disneyland, it's in the animation thing on Hollywoodland in Disney California Adventure Park. I've done the one in Disneyland a couple times, and I have no artistic ability whatsoever. But I was so happy with myself that I was able to draw things that kind of looked like a decent representation of Donald Duck or Goofy and Pluto. Whenever I did them, I did it a few times, and
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I checked the schedule because I wanted to draw Donald, so he's my favorite. So I made sure I had time that I went in for the Donald session the one time.
Well, and the really cool thing about it is that there's no erasers on those pencils, so you just have to go for it, right? And you can't like there's no regrets. You just have to just draw and just do your best. It was really cool. They do a lot of those on the ship and stuff like that. So if you like love the Donald one, they had Donald, and I think, and I'm not sure. I took a picture of all of the different like activities and stuff that were available. I believe there was like 15 to 20 characters that they did during the cruise. There was always a drawing class going on 3-4 times a day. So they did it quite a bit, and it was really neat. It was great. And there's something about being in a room with a ton of people that are just trying to be creative and doing something that they're not necessarily the best at, that kind of like brings you all together, right? So
Struggling together, learning a new skill. Yeah, there's
right.
pottery in that. Look what we did, type thing.
That's right. And if you're really feeling great, you can frame it when you get home. So our day 3 was Tracy Arm Fjord. So what happens is that when you get on the ship, they tell you you're going to do scenic cruising. Scenic cruising is, when you first think about it, you're like, really? Like, we're just going to kind of like mosey into some area and not get off the ship. And it kind of seems like you might be bored, but this was maybe my favorite day of the entire cruise. So they don't know exactly which arm you're going to be able to go down. You can either go Endcott arm or Tracy arm, and it depends on how much ice is in the water. They have to dodge those icebergs as big ships and things like that. And so if the channel is full of icebergs, they're not going to be able to get into that arm. We got really lucky in the fact that a lot of the melting hasn't yet occurred, and the channel was pretty clear. So we did Tracy Arm, and Tracy Arm is this amazing, I don't even know how to, so we spent most of the day from right after breakfast time at about 9 a.m. up until 4:30 out on the deck. If you have a veranda room, you can spend time on your veranda. But even if you have a veranda, you want to make sure that you get out on the deck, because there's a really great chance to see a lot of really neat things. And you kind of have like that collective ooh and ah, kind of like when you're in like a big crowd for fireworks. And it's even neater because everybody's looking up at the same thing. This is, you're traveling kind of down this channel with these amazing huge cliffs on both sides, with the green of the trees and everything, and then there's waterfalls that are trickling down all around you. It feels like you can actually just reach out and touch them. And you travel pretty slowly down this channel, so you have a really long time to spend taking in the sights and everything like that. We were able to see, there was a bear off to the kind of the side, a ton of bald eagles. There's the seals, things like that in the water while you're traveling down this little channel. And then like your ultimate destination is that you stop at Sawyer Glacier. And it's just this huge, beautiful ice field that is stunning and breathtaking. It's incredible to see. Disney provides blankets and hot chocolate and hot coffee. And there's tons of little nooks and crannies that you can either kind of escape to and have like moments to yourself to take in this beautiful natural beauty, or there's tons of spots on the deck that there's people gathered around. For our cruise, I never felt like I had to like jostle in to find a spot. There was plenty of spots to take in the sights and everything like that. One of the things that I loved is that because it was the first cruise of the season, we had a ton of new contracted Disney cast members on board. And it was so funny because you would look and they would be taking pictures to send back to their families and selfies and stuff like that. So we kind of traded, like, you take a picture of our family, we take a picture of you. And one of the gift shop employees, he had actually gone out on one of the other days that we were in Juneau. He had gone out and touched snow for the first time and was so excited about it. I chatted with him for a good 10, 20 minutes about snow, something that I see like 6-7 months out of the year, and by like month number 4 I'm kind of over it. He was so excited about the snow. This is also the day that they bring out all of the Disney characters: Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, and Pluto, and then Coda from Brother Bear are all out on the deck, and they're dressed up in their finest of finery Alaskan wear. And so you have Goofy dressed up kind of like in a snowboarder outfit. Donald and Daisy are in their little black and red lumberjack plaid. Minnie is in this cute little Alaskan like dress with the fur around her, and Mickey is in his little yellow overalls and a blue and black plaid shirt. The lines for those characters can get kind of long, but there's plenty of chances to see them. They have 2 different times, and one in the morning and one in the afternoon, to give people a chance to get all of their pictures with the characters. And that was a really popular thing that day. They also bring on a naturalist. So she comes on board and she talks about what you're seeing. She tells you about the glaciers. She tells you why some glaciers are bright blue. So they're not white like you would think. They're bright blue, and it's because of how long they've been in the channel and how they turn. And she talks all about that. She talks about the wildlife that you see. She talks about why this waterfall is flowing this way and things like that. And then there's moments in the channel that they're just completely silent. And that was one of the things that I was really surprised about. So many people on the decks, so crowded, so should have been so loud, and at times it was completely silent. And that's when you know that you're seeing something completely awe-inspiring, because it took people's breath away. And it was quiet and serene, and beautiful. You could hear the flow of the water. You could hear the water lapping up against the ship. You could hear the wind kind of rustling through. It was beautiful, stunning, and so like everything that you would want to see on an Alaskan cruise just in that one day.
Yeah. And so with going back, you said about Minnie Mouse, was it like a parka with like the fur-lined parka with the hood that she was
Yeah.
wearing?
Yeah,
And
so it was a cute little like white little like with the Eskimo different designs in it, and then her little hood and everything like that. Um Super cute pictures, like great. And you'll never see the Disney characters in these costumes anywhere else but on an Alaskan cruise. So,
yeah, and was it
and she
Mickey in
had,
like the yellow slicker, like the fishing outfits? Was that the
yeah. Yeah, like cute little yellow fishing hat and bright yellow overalls and his green, it was a green and like navy blue or black plaid shirt and his little yellow galoshes. There's
Mhm.
actually a lady on board that was there and she was dressed exactly like him. The only difference was she had stuck a big fish in her pocket. So
That's
it
great.
was cool.
You mentioned
Um,
the oh, good.
oh no, go
I
ahead.
was you mentioned the cast member who saw snow for the first time. As I mentioned before, my wife's from Indonesia, so it's a tropical island. Well, like 17,000 tropical islands, really. Um, but even whenever it snows now, she's been living here for 10 years, that she still gets excited over snow. And there are some people from Indonesia or other warm weather climates who we get to, move to our city and we get to meet for they see snow for the first time and their experience with that. So I've gotten to experience that on another level of seeing someone else do it, that it's, you know, grown up in Pittsburgh and I went to college in Erie, Pennsylvania. So we get all kinds of snow there. They measure snow in feet, not inches. So you said if after a few months you get tired of snow. After the first snowfall, I'm tired of snow.
I'm tired of shoveling it and everything like that. But that's again the reason why we travel, right? I went on a trip to Jamaica and I have like so many pictures of the perfect beach on my phone. And I was like, by the end, I was like, oh my gosh, how many pictures of the perfect beach do you need? But it's good. A beautiful beach is something that I don't get to see every day. And I was so excited to see it. And snow is something that I see quite a lot of, and I get a little bit like, ugh. In Alaska, there's still the mountains are still snow capped and stuff like that. And so, and being a Utah girl, mountains aren't a big deal to me. I walk outside my house and I have a huge mountain range just sitting outside. But what was so neat is to sit and listen to the people that don't have that opportunity to see those kind of things every day. Because then it makes you kind of excited again. And you're like, oh, yeah, I remember why this is a big deal. It's good to like remember that like there's so many beautiful things in the world that we can see, and even if you're used to something, like changing your perspective on it makes it even more magical. So
Yeah. And that is one of the things that anytime I travel with my little girl or with my wife for that matter, like her first time going to Disney or it's places that I have been, like we went to Niagara Falls a few times and other things that you kind of take for granted, that whenever you see it through the eyes of someone else who is seeing it for the first person, that it brings back those memories of whenever you saw it for the first time. And like you said, it gives you a renewed sense of appreciation for what you are seeing.
absolutely. I know, Matt, you probably are like me. You've gone to Disney a lot. You've done Disney a lot. You've seen Disneyland. You've seen Disney World. You've done those things, but then you get to plan a trip for your guests, your clients, and you're like, oh, I have this memory of this, and now they get to build that memory too. And it's kind of brand new for you as well. Like I get giddy when I start talking about like how you can get on Dumbo in Disneyland. And if you time it just right, you can see the fireworks from a different perspective and how cool that is. So I think that like that's the great thing about travel too is that you get to go ahead and open a whole new chapter in your book that you never would have thought of like before. And I love the fact that I I thought it was so fun for me to see how excited that cast member was about snow. Like I was like, oh, I should be a little bit more grateful when I'm shoveling it. And um, he was just so excited. And he told me, he's like, I called home. He was from the Philippines. And he was like, I called home and I got to talk about how I got to see snow for the first time. And he's like, my wife and my daughter were so excited for me. And he's like, and I got to promise them that someday I'm going to take them and they're going to see snow too. So it was kind of
That
a
is
neat
so
little
sweet.
light moment. Yeah.
Like pause now so I can like get a Kleenex to wipe my tears away.
I
That is
know.
so
He was so cool. It was just like, and that's the thing, like one of the great things, and one of the things that I would really encourage like everyone to do is that when you get on board a cruise ship, really take the time to get to talking to the people that are on that ship because their stories are great. So one of the things that I did was I brought a Stanley mug and I had all of the characters that I met. So Mickey and Minnie and Ariel and Belle, I had them sign my mug for me. But one of the things with just a Sharpie, and I was so excited because it's like the perfect souvenir. I'm so excited to use it. But one of the things that I did was this, I also had the cast members that created magic for us on this trip sign it too. So I had our room steward sign it for me because every day we would come in, our beds would be perfectly made and there'd be some great towel animal that he had like folded into like perfect and little chocolates on our bed. In fact, I'm going through withdrawals because I went to bed last night and there was no chocolates on my bed and there was nothing folded in an amazing animal shape waiting for me. And then our wait staff that remembered the thing that my daughter loves ginger ale and will drink the ginger ale well dry. So there was always ginger ale waiting for her at the table. And there was a cute little cast member that was up in Cabanas, which is the buffet area of the Disney ship, that I would run into a ton of times. Christina from Ireland, that she was talking about her family and how she was working for Disney and that she's going to go back and go to school and everything like that. But she wanted to see the world. And I had her sign my mug for me, and they were so excited about like autographing. It was hilarious. Like our little like assistant waiter, I swear he's been practicing his autograph because it was like we're talking like baseball star like signing a ball or a baseball card. Like it was like the perfect like um autograph. And it was so neat. Like really and truly, the employees on a cruise ship have a ton of things to say and a ton of stories to tell you. And if you take the time to just talk to them, they'll be part of your trip that you weren't necessarily expecting, but their stories and the reason why they're there and the stories about their families and their cultures and things like that. We had like, I think they said, and I'm not exactly sure, but I think that they said that we had 45 different nations represented in the cast members on the Disney cruise this time. So a ton of different places that people come from, and you begin to kind of figure out how much people really are alike, even with our differences.
again, that's one
So
of the traveling and you experience new things, new cultures and everything. And that's one
yeah,
of the things I noticed is that where people often focus on, well, they do this and we do this instead, they don't recognize the things of, oh, we both do this exact same thing here. And there are a lot more similarities among people than there are differences. And if you flip the lens around and focus on the similarities rather than differences, it shows you a whole different world and a whole different appreciation for who the other person is.
exactly.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled podcast for this important announcement.
Okay, so the talk with Katie went close to 2 hours. Wonderful talk. Get a lot of great information about it, but we decided to split up into 2 episodes. So this is going to end the first episode. We're going to pick up with the rest of her trip and the next episode. So I hope you enjoyed it. We'll enjoy it so far with the rest to come. I'll end it real quick with a travel tip, and that is to get out and see the country. We have a wonderful, huge country that we live in. Go and see it. whether you're going to stick with the contiguous lower 48 states or if you're going to get to Hawaii and Alaska, go to the national parks, visit other cities, go to historical sites. Just get out and see it. Know what your country is like. You have some great experiences without needing a passport. You can drive to many of these places, depending on where you live. And if you ever want to drive across the United States, I haven't done it. It can be long, it can be a little bit tiring, but everyone who I know who has driven across the US has had good things to say about it and really appreciated the experience. They might not do it a second time, but doing it once is a great experience. So we're going to give you our contact information, and then we will pick it up next time with the remainder of Katie's trip to Alaska with Disney Cruise Line. But if you have a destination or an experience that you'd like to have discussed on the Yinz Goin podcast, or if you'd like to share your favorite destination or a travel tip, feel free to contact me. I'd love to hear your feedback and ideas. Katie, how can people get a hold of you?
So my social media contacts, I'm on Instagram as well as Facebook, and you can email me at katie@dreamsbydesigntravel.com. I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to chat with you about where your next journey and adventure and how I can get you there.
So for me, my social media is Matt with DBD on Facebook, X, and Instagram. My email is Matt, MATT, at dreamsbydesigntravel.com. The website for our company is dreamsbydesigntravel.com. Very easy to get to. This information is in the episode description. So if you'd like to contact us to book a trip, you can reach us there. Please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend about us. Try and get the word out. If you liked what you heard, then please, by all means, invite others. And join us next time. You can find us on pretty much all podcast platforms. New episodes are released each week on Fridays at noon. So you have something to listen to on the weekend whenever you're doing all your errands and taking care of all of the other business. Katie, once again, thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt.
And again, it's not goodbye. It's we'll see you real soon because you will be back on this podcast later on. We're heading out. We'll see you later in that. So long.